Hello, viewers, and welcome once again to another live session. Um, Sorry for poor lighting, but don't worry, I'm working on it. Very soon, we're gonna have some very good lighting for the show. So, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'm really happy to have you here. Yeah, I see someone is on already. Hey, wonderful viewer, how are you doing? Okay, so let me go straight to the point. Today we're going to be learning about John Horse and the Seminoles Black Army or Black Wars. And what surprises me is this is a story that is worth talking about. It's a story that is worth sharing, but it seems it's not been so much part of the story when it's being told by the media, by the movie houses, and all of that. But this is a story that is not even just about, what Black people, the kind of courage and strength that Black people had to fight against slavery, but it's also, uh, about what everyone else did to support, the struggle to gain freedom from slavery. So today we're going to read. I've done my research and I'd like to show you. I've actually done my research because I needed to bring you material that is researched and material that is, factual. So I've done my research and we're going to go through it to see what actually transpired. So to those who know the story, I'm sure you would, like move with me. You would, and those who don't, I think this is an opportunity for us to learn our histories. As I said, the disconnection between African Americans and Africans is mostly because we don't know each other's history. We don't know each other's struggle. We've heard about what we've been through, but as to whether we're actually learning about, to understand what happened so that we can forge a bond that says that, we're moving forward and then never backwards, but forever, forward. So John Horse, also known as Juan Caballo or John Kowaya and Joe Gopher John, was born in 1812 in Florida of a black mother and an Indian father. He was described as 6 feet tall, muscular and powerfully built. Straight as an Indian, he walked with a self-assured air, regarded as an expert marksman. He would regarded as an expert marksman. Um, he would follow a trial by moonlight at a gallop over a burnt prairie. He was cool under fire, courageous, brave, and cunning. Striking in person, he dressed in Seminole Indian fashion. So I think that he was a mix of African American and Seminoles Indian. So he wore a brilliant turban with plumes over his long straight hair, a hunting shirt gathered at the waist, with a sash and silver clips on the lapel. His leggings were decorated with ribbons. So man got suave too. Yeah. There is an interesting legend as to how John Hawes acquired the nickname. Gopher John, one day, a US Army camp commander, bought some turtles from John and asked the youth to keep him supplied with fresh ones. Over the next few days, the commander paid for more turtles, thinking that they were being added to the pen. At the end of the week, when plans were being made for the banquet featuring turtle meat, the commander was stunned to find out from his cook that there were only two turtles in the pen. The officer realized that unlike the story, he had been tricked into repeatedly buying the same turtles. At first angry, then mollified by John's ingenuousness, he made the youth supply the turtle paid for and nicknamed him Gopher John to serve as a constant reminder of his prank. As a leader of the Black Seminoles, John John Hall struggled for almost half a century to obtain land and a permanent home for his people. He was a warrior against the United States during the Second Seminole War to gain his freedom. He served the U.S. Army as a guide and interpreter. In the Indian Territory, he founded the village of Wewoka for his followers and made several trips to Washington, D.C. to lobby government officials on their behalf. John made several trips to Washington, D.C. Okay, to lobby government on their behalf. John Horace, a second in command to the Seminole Indian chief Kukuchi Wildcat, led more than 100 black Seminoles from Indian Territory to Mexico. From 1850 to 1870, he was head of a black Seminole community in San Jacinto, Coahuila, and Mexico, and took some of them back to Texas for service as scouts with the U.S. Army. Then the men were promised land after their services as scouts, but his promise never materialized. John Hawes, old and recovering from wounds following an assassination attempt, returned to his home in Nacimiento. He died in Mexico in 1982 while on a mission to settle a dispute over their land. So you see what I'm talking about? When you go online, you find stories like this, and stories like this are not talking about his heroism. They're not talking about how this man fought and liberated, over 100 men, from slavery. The conversation is not the focus of the conversation is not for you and I to know. His hero. They're referring to this man as just like any normal soldier who went to war and came back and almost got assassinated, and but what this man did for his community is unthinkable. So to begin with, this man actually, as I said, had followers, and his followers were slaves that he wanted to lead to freedom. So once he got his followers. um so what he did was that they settled in communities. They settled in communities wearing, when they were able to free themselves from their slavers, they settled in communities rearing cattle and all of that. Agriculture. They started agriculture, and then after 10 years of signing an agreement with the US government to own themselves, their freedom, to have their freedom, and to be able to, like, manage their own affairs, and essentially be free. After 10 years, as soon as there was a change of government, um, the contract was just, made null and void, with the US government stating that the new president that had taken over, stating that there's no way that the US government had that power to negotiate that deal with John Horst and his Seminoles army. Well, it didn't go down well at all. After 10 years, they have to pack their things and run and be on the run. They persevered. This is not like they persevered, and after they got to Mexico, they had the favor of the Mexican government, and they kind of, got into service with the Mexican army. So he became a general in the Mexican army and helped to defend, fight with the Indians to fight with the Indians and the Mexicans to, push back the American army. So this is a story that needs to be told. And the reason why I read this is that these are some of the stories that this is another story. This is another, write up that I found on the internet. This is another one. This one that I read to you is another one. Where is black media? Where is black entertainment? Where these are some of the stories that we need to be pushing out. And I'm sure when we dig deeper, there are more things, more stories, more happenings that we don't know about. We want to know. We want to know about these stories. We want to know about these stories. There are stories that has to be told for us to understand where our struggles have begun and where we intend to go. All right. So this is um, I think we've treated this, this subject, and I would like for you guys to research it. Find out, what happened during the John Horse, wars, because it wasn't just one war. He fought several wars between, I think, 17 or 18. Do I have my dates right? Somewhere from mm, I don't remember, but in the 18 50s, somewhere about, somewhere around there, from 1830 to 1850, all the way to 1870. This gentleman was doing good, you know, was leading his people out of slavery, and that is something that is really commendable. The struggles, the okay, let me put this across. They are the only slave rebellion that successfully negotiated a deal or a treaty with the US government. The only the only one. And how is this story not on mainstream media? How is this story not depicted in every slave or every Black history, book or write up, or so and now that Tyler Perry and co, now own mainstream media, I think they can do more justice to this. And also, I encourage mainstream media. I mean, Disney. I mean, um, Marvel. Marvel. You know how the story is gonna go. Black Panther gave you an example of how the story is gonna go. Take the story, research, find out the facts, and make it entertaining. You know, with, well, whatever you do. with the stories to make them entertaining. But we want to see this kind of stories, you know, Google, Disney, yeah, Marvel, yeah, Universal, yeah. We want to see this kind of stories, and because this kind of stories, they remind us of who we are. We are not the weak, uh, afraid, diseased, and you know, um, unintelligent people as we are made to believe. This is our story. This is the kind of stories that we want to teach our young children. That never again, never again will a superior race or ethnicity or whatever with superior weapons, superior technology, never again will they enslave us? Will they take us, as slaves and steal everything that made us who we are? Our wealth, our place in society, our self-esteem, our everything. And I would like to remind brothers and sisters that I see a lot of channels that talk about these things as though we want to we this is not about anger. This is not about anger, being angry. This is about being aware and about making a commitment that this will never ever happen to our race again. There's nothing we can do about the past. It's already happened. But going forward, we have to, one, think about how to liberate ourselves from these mental chains that is saying that we are not good enough. We have to liberate ourselves because I've treated, you know, Nat Turner's efforts and his heroic, ways of freeing slaves from bondage. I've talked about Harriet Tubman, and I'm talking about John Hawes now. So we have, even in the struggle, we have heroes who were willing to give their lives to make sure that we gained our freedom and our independence. And what I always say is that, change starts from a few, and the rest of us gets infected. So change makers are a few people who are willing to go through the extra mile, to that extra length to get people out of bondage. They are a few, and that few is you and I. If you, either you are watching this live channel or you're going to watch it later on, I think that we have to, this is where this channel is going somewhere. I'm telling you. And we are going to come up with our success stories. Like, we're going to come up with our success stories. And I know you guys will support me because you're amazing. And I know you would support me, but we have to hold, you know, uh, if you look at today, the kind of economic bondage that we are in, the times have changed. Times have changed in a way that slavery is no longer the fashion. Oppression and intimidation is no longer the fashion, but it has become a profession for some white supremacist agendas. Slavery, discrimination, and racism is now institutionalized. So it's not like the wars, the situation has changed over time, over culture. It has changed. It's no longer the same. So we have to also change the way we deal with things. We have to change the way we think. We have to change the way that we see each other, we see ourselves. Economic empowerment is key. We have to think about economic empowerment. Economic empowerment. You know, I know a lot of us want to start business, want to come to Africa and start business and, start doing something on the motherland. And that is very commendable. That is, hey, you guys, if you're in the house, you can say hi. Let me know who is here. Yeah, I see you guys are watching, but I would definitely love to know who is here. So, like, at what point, where do we draw the line and say, now we know, now we are aware of what happened in the past? At what point do we draw the line and say that now we know, now we are aware, now what are the next steps? So, the road to one, mental liberation, economic liberation, social liberation, and intellectual liberation. There's an adage in tree that sɛ wopɛ sɛ wokum kora wobiebie ni ansa na woemia. It means if you have a wound and you want to treat it, you first have to open it, you know, cut out the dead skin on the wound, and then you start treating it from the inside. So that's how we must handle this reawakening thing. That we think that it's time, Mother Earth, nature, everything is telling us it's time to do. We have to reawakening. And reawakening means that we have to start from somewhere. And if you ask my brothers and sisters who have come to the castles and come to see process the slavery, how it went, there is a lot to gain by returning. You know, moving is one thing, but returning is another thing. And returning means you can come visit, you can come see the place, see Africa how it is, and then you can go back. Africa is not for everybody. If you don't think that you have to come, that's also fine. But at least come and know where you're from. Come and know where your ancestors. You know, you have to believe that your ancestors actually walked. They walked the miles. They walked the distance. They fought. If you're alive today, you are a product of you know sheer tenacity. The will to live, to survive. You are a descendant of a survivor because millions didn't make it. So many black souls were dropped into the ocean. It's not you know it's not it's not like to see Mother Africa, Mother Nature asking her children back home and wanting to change the face of Africa. Even nature itself has felt the taste of our tears. So many people were killed during this time. So now that we're moving on, now that we have survived, and now that we are aware that we've been brainwashed, now that we know that we have self-hate as an aftermath of slavery and colonialism, now that we know that we need to empower ourselves economically, now that we know that we need to change our educational system, how do we begin? Where do we start? Where we start is by researching and knowing the truth and knowing about who we are. That's where we start. And then, secondly, when you have come and you've rediscovered yourself and who you are, and you've studied and you've known our struggles, then we have to look at how to empower ourselves, you know, education wise, technology wise, business, finance. We have to improve the economies of Africa. How can we be part and parcel to this? And I think Dr. Arikana Chiombori is doing an amazing thing. She has this project for the African, the African diaspora, and what they do, she's doing is that she's going to ask everybody to contribute, and she's going to start the African Development Fund or project, I think so. And I think she's already started this Wakanda, city project in Eastern Africa. So look it up. And if you are in a location where you can actually contribute, because that's an investment. It is an investment. So, brothers and sisters, um, going forward, I'll be treating a lot of topics on one how to. I've done how to invest in Africa uh, um, video. It's on my channel. But going forward, I think we are going to dig deeper. And I wish we could have had a Q&A questions, but today my time is quite limited. So I'm thinking of what the next steps are, and the next steps will be how to, when you come back, how to find out business opportunities, and be able to, how do you call it, be able to tap into the opportunities that are available. Um, yeah. So, I want to thank you guys so much. I don't have much time today because I have a program tomorrow morning that I should be able to attend to. So, I'm going to leave you here, but please don't let our stories be forgotten. Don't let our stories be forgotten. Share this video with anyone you think might be interested, and subscribe if you're new to this channel and you're not a subscriber. Subscribe, and then hopefully we can have more conversations about what's important to us as Africans. Stay woke, stay informed, and take care of yourself. Mwah. Wishing you the very best.